Hi, I'm John Geden. I own Sinah Common Honey and welcome to one of our apiaries here at Stoke Farm in Hayling Island. So I got into beekeeping back in 1990. I was serving with the army and I believe there was a duty that we had at the South Sea show, and the local beekeeping association was there, and I immediately got the bug because of the ordered society in the beehive. It was absolutely amazing. I was fascinated. This is our newest apiary actually. This is a very small and immature apiary. We've got 15 in total. 11 of them are production apiaries, and then we have a quarantine apiary where we take new swarms, and we have 2 breeding apiaries where we breed queen bees and new colonies of bees, either to come into production or for sale to new customers. We use smoke to pacify the bees, and what smoke does to the bees is it awakens a primeval fear that their forest and their tree is on fire, and so what they do is they gorge themselves with honey and pollen in preparation to vacate the nest or the hive, when in actual fact there is no fire. All we're doing is just blowing some smoke across them, and what that does is it keeps them very calm. So the life of a bee farmer is quite busy actually. During the swarming season, we really need to be checking our colonies every 7 to 10 days to make sure that they're not swarming. But outside of that time, we really need to be checking the colonies for health, ensure that the queen is alive and still laying eggs and doing what she should be doing, and to make sure that they're safe, because there are a lot of threats to honeybees, not least things like pesticides. This is a very new colony. It was raised only about 3 weeks ago, so it's quite immature, and we're just going to see how it's progressing. So we'll very gently remove the feeder, and you can see I don't wear gloves. The bees are completely calm. I might every now and again get a sting on my hands, but it is very rare. And in the bottom of these little hexagonal cells on this side, the queen has already started laying some eggs. So what you're seeing here is an average beehive, and it's very similar to the observation hive that's located and we've placed at Stoke Farm Shop, and that's a great way for the members of the public that don't necessarily want to don a beekeeping suit. They don't want to drive across ploughed fields to get to a fairly isolated apiary site, but they can still see the magic of what happens inside the beehive. Stoke Farm Shop were one of my earliest customers and have bought Sinah Common Honey since really I began. Hayling Island people seem to love it. And just 2 weeks ago, we installed what you see next to me. It's what we call an observation hive. This is a very small and immature colony of bees, honey bees, and it's in a glass-fronted cabinet, glass front and glass rear, and it means that people can see what I see on a daily basis as a bee farmer and what goes on inside the beehive. These bees here are busy building wax comb. So wax is produced from the wax glands on the bees' underside, on the very back of their abdomen. They produce wax, and they use that as the main building block within the beehive. So I moved to Hayling Island. I'm probably still regarded as a little bit of an outsider. I came to the island in the early 90s. I met my wife in 1989, and I fell in love with the island. I have to be honest, it's a great community. People here are generally very nice. People often refer to this place, particularly when I was a policeman here. I served as a police officer on the island for several years, and people sort of in other parts of the county, and other policemen and women from other forces used to refer to this as almost heartbeat territory because it was so nice. So in terms of living anywhere else, I don't think I would. There's 15 sites in total that we've got. 11 of them are production sites. So the colonies are at full strength and produce honey. We produce something in the region of 2.5 tons of beautiful local raw honey every year. In addition, we run full beekeeping courses at Sinah Common Honey. You can come along and do a 3-day beekeeping course, 2 days of which is a theory weekend. And you'll learn all of the theoretical background about keeping bees and the bee itself, the colony, the diseases and the other threats that are posed against the honeybee. And then finally you come back in the spring or early summer and you do a practical day. And that day will bring you to somewhere like this, one of my open apiaries, where you can come and enjoy the full beekeeping experience and open a beehive. So beekeeping for me isn't just a business either, and I probably should explain that. Having had 10 years in the army with various operational tours under my belt, and then 22 years in Hampshire Police, where during those years I was a body recovery officer, I was a crisis and hostage negotiator, I was a family liaison officer working on roads policing, so dealing with fatal accidents, often involving children, and then having to go and give that terrible news to loved ones. And then finally, my last 8 to 10 years was spent investigating crimes against children. And it's probably not surprising with that career history that I started suffering a few nightmares and flashbacks, and I really didn't understand what was happening to me. And until one day my world came crashing down round my ears, and I realised that I couldn't do that work anymore. I would spend most of my days in the armchair, some days crying. I'm not proud of that, but that was how it was. And it was then that really I realised that I love beekeeping, and beekeeping actually, in my darkest moments, I found it really quite cathartic to go and sit with my bees at the end of the garden. And so it really was staring me in the face. Why don't you upscale your beekeeping and turn a hobby into a business? And that's what I did. I realised that if beekeeping helped me through that dark patch, it probably would help others. And so I approached Help for Heroes, who had, by the way, helped me, and offered to run a beekeeping course at their rehabilitation centre at Tidworth. Well, that course is now in its 5th year, and we've trained almost 60 veterans, men and women from all 3 services, many of them suffering physical and mental injuries as a result of their military service. I've gone from having 4 hives in the back garden at that time to now running 200 and supplying honey to probably about 30 stockists, harvesting something close to 2.5 tonnes of honey every year, doing a range of other things, running courses, selling equipment, selling bees, doing experiences, and making cosmetics, skin balms and lip balms. And I have to say, I probably haven't been happier.